get myself all situated here. Welcome back to the Give It Gas podcast. We took off last week because we're working men.
Yep.
Well, I'm a working man. Dylan's a sick man. Dylan gets a cold and calls it quits, people.
I didn't call it quits.
You called it quits. Also, strong recommendation in life. Do not get in a two-door small coupe with a sick individual and expect to travel and not get what they got. Yeah. So, anywho, Dylan got a cold. Then I got a cold. We're both recovered from it. We completely jacked up our plans for last week, but that's okay.
We're going to get through it.
We're going to get through it. There's a lot of stuff going on since the last time we had a podcast. Jeff Bezos made it to space. That happened last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so woohoo. I still stand by what I said.
Woohoo!
Who called me out on that? Someone called me out on that. They're like, it's a big deal. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal to me.
No.
Figure out how to turn like salt water into fresh water at a decent value, like price value. And then charge for it. I don't care. You're still making money, but you at least better the world a little bit. Like, can we better Earth and not Mars at the moment?
Yeah.
And then I had one other thing. There was something else. Oh, darn.
Is it a news thing?
Yeah. It was a news thing. Oh! It was talking about how much, just ran across an article, how much like micro influencers were making on Instagram and TikTok right now. And so micro influencers, everyone under 100,000 people, you go, like you know, but there's people listening that may not know. Show off. You get better from a cold, you're like, I'm good to go again. Anywho, and it's ridiculous. Like some of these people are making 20 and 30 grand a month.
Yeah.
With under 100,000 followers. If you're gonna cough in this mic this whole time,
I'm going to be good.
people are gonna get fed up by it, man.
He's been giving me a hard time.
People are, well, listen.
Consistently a hard time.
It's because I got sick, and I can't get sick right now.
We also the moment I got in your car, all I had was just like a sore throat. I get sore throats normally. Like it's not like a sick thing. It's just like.
And then Dylan was on his deathbed.
Yeah, and I just got a really bad head cold.
And then that is that. So anyways, that was a shocker. I didn't know you could still make that much money as a micro influencers. I thought the only people that were really touching stuff were like big players, 200, 300, 400,000 people, but I guess not. I mean, my whole goal for this has always been I just want like a core 1,000 people that love what we do and love what we bring to the table and love our products, right? I could give a crap about having 100,000 people.
Yeah. I didn't know they were making that much.
Yeah, it was a shocker.
Yeah.
And I had the stat, or not the stat, but the article to pull from, but I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Things have been so crazy for us the past like 7 days. Everything's been like thrown into a curveball for us that we had planned and then not planned. So this was kind of, I had a meeting yesterday down in Orlando, right? That took way longer than I expected. I didn't get back to the store till 2. And it was like, by the way, we have to record a podcast tomorrow. I was like, oh crap, that's right. So here we are, because we're not going to skip more than 1 week.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to let the podcast stop us from doing the work that we need to get done. So
yeah,
that's why sometimes this thing gets shelved. And Travis doesn't feel bad about it. Yeah, no, just because we have a lot going on. So we talked about that one on the last podcast. I think it was the last podcast. We fired that guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a weight lifted off my shoulders. So much
That's
better.
good.
Yeah, and then the stress of like, oh crap, now we have to really push our products. It's still stress, but it's not as much stress as dealing with those people. Somebody disliked that video.
That's okay.
I'm like,
Whatever.
what is there to dislike about it? I'm not offended by it. I'm just wondering, like, would you have, I guess, I guess that person would have continued to just be a slave.
Yeah.
Whoever you are that disliked that video, if you're watching this video, why'd you dislike it?
Yeah.
I'm just interested. Obviously, they thought I made the wrong call. Right? I guess? I don't know. Or maybe they disliked it because we were one of the news pieces. Who knows?
Possibly.
Anywho, on more recent news, today's Tuesday, but this podcast will not post till Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. But today at 1 o'clock, my house should finally close. Yeah. So it's been a long time coming. For those of you listening to the podcast, you know. We've been under contract for like 60, it's probably like mid-60s now. 64 days.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's been a while.
Which my realtor said on a VA loan, he would have put it at 60 days anyways. But we were at 45 days originally. So it's been a lot of like, oh, we're about to close. Oh, wait, no, this needs to be done. Oh, we're about to close. And what's really pissed me off through this, can I say that? I can say that, yeah. What's really pissed me off through this, were you a Family Guy? Like, did you ever watch Family Guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You ever watch you know how he had like the grind my gears news articles? Or like, there were points where they did it once and then they brought it back a few times. He's like, what really grinds my gears? I can't do it in a Peter voice. Anywho, so the reason it's been dragging out the past 3 weeks, even though everything was already, I guess we'll backstory this a little bit. So we had some WDO issues, which that's wood rot for people, which is super common in like an older house like we had. We expected it. And the WDO person said, hey, that needs to get fixed. We got it fixed. And then the appraiser, the VA appraiser, who it's not his job to claim that, said, I don't like how it was fixed, which I personally didn't like how it was fixed either, but I've been letting Megan deal with it all. Mm-hmm. Megan didn't like how it was fixed either, but she was letting our realtor deal with it. And he's been in the game for 20 years. It was his general contractor or whatever. So the appraiser came back and said, hey, this needs to get fixed. The red flag should have been that they didn't find that out until the night before the original closing date. I'm like, how is this just coming to light? So anywho, we got it fixed. Everyone scrambled for like 5 days or 4 days. And we were lined up to do it again, like to close again. And then the underwriter came out of nowhere and was like, I'm actually going to need till, it was 6 more business days to review the packet. I'm like, what the? Okay, whatever. Crap happens. So then we get to the night before, and the underwriter, for the second closing, the underwriter's like, oh no, like this is wrong. It's going to have to get pushed again. We're like, what? So come to find out, the underwriter like has it baked in, that he gets 2 business days for every single document that he has to review. So, which, you know, the market is still slammed right now. I get it. I don't fault him for claiming I need 2 business days to get like review stuff, because this isn't the only mortgage he's doing for this. Like, this guy is not his only mortgage. He's probably doing hundreds of these things, right? Yeah. So it's respectable to go like, I need 2 days. What blows my mind is the way it all went out. It's almost like he had his full packet, right? And he would go down and he'd find the wrong thing and he'd go, this needs to get fixed. And then he'd close the packet and then he'd go fix it and come back. He would review it. And then it's almost like he then went down the list even further and goes, oh, this needs to be fixed now. Like the last thing that we've been waiting on for a week and a half now was supposedly they had this guy, like a bill for this guy marked at 180 when it was only supposed to be 140. Okay, cool. And then they had to like prove that it was 140 and they needed 2 business days for that. But like, we've been in this process for now, at that point it was 50 days.
Yeah.
You just now caught this? Right? It's just like, that's what blew my mind. Is why didn't they go through and go, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Pile the whole thing, send it off, and we got everything fixed. So like, I really would love to know who was being the dodo there, Who was being the lazy one that like wasn't catching everything? Was it the underwriter? Was it the loan processor? Was it the guy's realtor? I have no freaking clue. But there was a few things in there that like that should have been caught that weren't caught. And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. So thankfully, my realtor has turned into being a killer. He's just a silent killer. I didn't know that. At first, I wasn't too happy with him because I'm very like, what's that phrase? It's like, I guess I have my hands in everything, or I try to have my hands in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've stayed out of this process. I let Megan deal with it, and because I got enough going on, and she wants us to be represented appropriately. She's like, Travis, our first loan guy that got us into this house never returned a phone call when we were ready to do something else with them, or an email. She's like, I think you soured that relationship. I was like, maybe. But I got the job done, you know, so
Yeah.
and that's a story for another day. I guess we could go into that story now. I don't know. But so she handled this one, and I've had like very little communication. But all that to say, I felt like he wasn't a killer. Come to find out he is. He's just really quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
He like does his thing behind closed doors and rages at everyone that he needs to rage, but then he just comes to us with solutions. So I can appreciate that. Like, I think a lot of people in this world, especially in like the realty world, they would come with the problem and go, oh crap, now we got to figure out how to fix it. Like, he's never come to us without like, here's the problem that we're facing, also here's the solution, and it's already handled. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would definitely, at first I was like, I don't know if I could use him again, Megan, and now I'm 100% confident. So I think he was ready to take someone out as well, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah. That's good.
You know me, I'm like chill until I am not chill,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't want me to be not chill, or I'm not a pushover. I'm chill until I'm not a pushover. So
True.
I like other people that are the same way. I'm trying to push Megan to be the same way, but it's a learning lesson. At the end of the day, it's a learning lesson. It's learning.
Yeah.
So anywho, that's that on those fronts. Let's cross our fingers that
It all works out
at 1 o'clock.
Next, what, 7 hours?
Yeah, I sent 4 hours. 3.5 hours. 1 o'clock. Can you do math?
I thought you said 4. I totally thought you said 4.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
right.
And then wire me my money. Which I used to do wires out all the time when I was in the car world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really wondering, I've never had one get kicked back ever, but like wire fraud is the thing. So this is where my brain is bad. I told Megan, I was like, I kind of want to call the law office and like confirm that they got the right numbers, because the lawyer just like wrote them down on a piece of paper and wrote down the wire information. And I'm like, in my head, I always think of the worst all the time. It's a bad habit that I need to figure out how to fix.
Yeah.
But I was like, what if you wrote down the wrong like number, digit,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes into somebody else's account? It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'll never see it again. You can't take back a wire. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, and somebody can tell me this, I want to research it at some point just to like help my own mind. I'm wondering like, if not everything is, because I think you have to put the name and stuff as well. If not everything lines up correctly, does the wire then get kicked back? Like, is wire fraud just because you get fed new information, but all that information is technically correct for that account? Or can they like keep a different name, a routing number? I'm gonna sound really stupid to somebody who really knows about this, but it just shows that I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I am gonna learn after we get off this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I've been meaning to research, but
I
can
mean,
you mess up one digit?
That's like me yesterday asking about equity and dividends.
yeah.
So,
Oh, we should talk about that. All right, we have 10 minutes left. What are we diving into? And can we dive into this in 10 minutes? I told you. I told you. You're like, no, we'll be fine. I'm like, I don't know.
let's see. If we can't, we can hit the rest of it in the first part of the podcast for next week or something.
Maybe.
But it's a controversial issue, and I know it's going to be a controversial issue on my side.
I think it's just a controversial issue for you.
Yeah.
You came out of nowhere. You're like, I've been thinking about a podcast idea. When
I've
you
been
got in the car.
The thing is my mind has always been like this. Like,
Yeah.
can I debunk this?
Yeah.
And I found enough statistics that it's not like this is bad or this is really good or anything like that. Like, it's not that I'm like, this is the worst possible thing. I'm just like, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Unless you're going into something that you do need it.
Okay. So debate me like I'm your parent right now, because I know that's where this inner core is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Today's topic for the day is Dylan thinks
debunking
it's
college.
stupid to go to college.
I don't think it's stupid to go to college.
I think you do.
No. Let me just make this point.
Okay.
It's not stupid to go to college.
Okay.
It's definitely, if you want to go to college, go to college.
Yeah.
But go to college for the right reasons.
Which
You
is?
went to college, you got a degree. What was your degree in, and how long did you go to college for?
I got a degree in finance because business administration. I knew I wanted to do. Okay, let me rephrase this. I wanted to go into. I was nominated for the military academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then DADMER, which is the medical side of the military, DQ'd me over a peanut allergy. So I'm like, okay, not going there. I wanted to fly. My whole, like, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I've ever wanted to do is just fly. In business to make enough money to have a plane to fly. So then, this was in 2011 when I graduated, to be a commercial airline pilot, you had to go to school for something. You had to have a bachelor's degree to get picked up by any major airline. So that is the main thing that pushed me into school. I was like, well, I guess I have no options. I'm going to school.
Yeah.
I originally wanted to go to be an engineer. And during my undergrad stuff, I saw my friends that were in engineering classes. I was like, forget that. And I was super intrigued by business. I'm like, that's where I'm going to go and create a life for myself. But I figured out that in this world, a business degree or a marketing degree, like a business admin degree, a marketing degree, an HR degree, it's not really going to do much for you. So if you're going to get a business degree of any sort, you should specialize in either finance or accounting. It makes you think on a like a more analytical level that will allow you to do more things. All that to say, I have a finance degree. It took me, because I'm a lazy bum, not really. I just enjoyed working more than I liked going to college. It took me like 5 years.
Did you have to pay for it out of your own pocket, or?
Yeah, so I had Bright Futures for the first semester, which for those of you not in Florida, Bright Futures is like if you keep good grades, like a good GPA, Florida will pay you to go to college.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's like a tiered system. I was never a good high school student. C's got degrees for me in high school. Not really, but like I always would hit like the middle of the 9 weeks in with a D or a C, and then I would get yelled at and I'd bring it up to like a B or an A by the end of the 9 weeks. So I came out strong my first semester in college. I got all A's, and then at the end of the semester I had like a 3.91 or 3.89, and I was like, what the heck? I got literally those all say A's. That should be a 4.0. And then I found out that college, I went to the University of South Florida, did pluses and minuses as well, and that was gonna that is why I didn't get a full, because I got an A minus in one, and at that point it pissed me off, and I was like, I'm just gonna finish at this point, but like I'm just gonna get through the end of it. Which could be the wrong or right way to look at it. It really just depends on what you want to do with your degree. I had an entrepreneur spirit in me from like, everyone's like, oh, I was flipping candy in middle school. Like, that wasn't me, but like, by the time I hit high school, I was looking for ways to build something online to sell. Like, that intrigued me. Software intrigued me. Computer programming intrigued me. I ran around with like that crowd. Like, I ran around with that crowd in college. The people trying to start something. And for me, the finance degree was like a good fallback, but I always knew I was going to try to figure it out myself because I hated being micromanaged. I think is the right. Are we getting too far off topic?
No,
okay,
you're good.
So we are going to have to cut and come back.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 next week.
I don't know. I think we can just like pause and then try to dip back over here this morning once we know the store is secure and keep going. But so I should probably just come to a stopping point. Mom, get to the store on time. She'll listen to this.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding, Mom. I love you.
She's gonna smack you around.
Yeah, no, she's a saint. She's working her butt off, so I can focus on getting Shalo-tek running stronger. So I appreciate you, Mama. But especially because we had to. This is a total sidetrack. We hired on 2 employees and they both left. So I just hired another one, but he's not going to start for 2 weeks. Anywho, crap. What was I saying? Gosh, I'm a squirrel brain sometimes too.
I am too. I think last thing you were talking about.
But I was talking about like I knew I didn't want to work for somebody, and a lot of people think like if you're an entrepreneur you never have to work for anyone. Well, that's a lie. You literally work for all your employees and all your customers. It's actually a pain in the butt. But the one thing you aren't is micromanaged.
Yes.
I hated the jobs through college, through high school, through college, where I was getting micromanaged. It just felt like I was.
Your left hand does this, your right hand does this.
Yeah, I wasn't able to like thrive. I wasn't able to bring ideas to the table. Those get shut down, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So anywho, I fell in love with an amazing girl who grew up in a great situation in life, but also grew up in a household where it's like you do good in high school, you do good in college, you go get a job, right? Both of her parents had done well for themselves. Her mom was a PhD, and she always knew what she wanted to do from high school. So if it wasn't for Megan, I probably would have just like said F it and quit myself. But like it was a non-negotiation with her. It's like if you're going to have me, you're going to finish school. So and that is the main reason why I finished. But during that process, I had plenty of job opportunities with guys running smaller and mid-sized businesses. The largest company I worked for had like 25 employees. So that's still pretty small, like pounding the pavement type stuff. And I concerned myself with those more than I concerned myself with my actual classes. So like if I could just get by my classes, to me I looked at those as like internships, decently paying internships.
Yeah.
To everyone else around me it looked like I was just job hopping and I couldn't figure out. But like every single place I worked at, whether it was like 6 months or a year, I learned so many different aspects that I now use like on a daily basis. So I wouldn't take that back, even though everyone else thought I was just being a undecided lazy bum who couldn't figure it out. So that's why it took me so long, is because I wasn't going to give up those opportunities just to sit in a classroom, because I knew when you go into business you have 2 routes. You can go into the corporate world or you can try to figure it out for yourself. I knew that I wasn't going to be like a banker or something. Like I did not have the GPA to get onto Wall Street, even though that fascinated me and like venture capital and all that stuff. I didn't have the GPA to start with to get there. I wasn't coming from the right school. I didn't know the right people, anything like that. So I knew I was going to have to carve it out. But I also knew a finance degree, if this all fails, I can go get a job somewhere. Because what that degree did was teach me to at least look at the numbers and analytics of it all. It taught me how to look at data, how to compare things, how to look at cash flow, long-term, short-term, how to look at projects, and like, does it make sense financially to do this project or not? Like, there's a lot of things that did teach me, but there's also a lot of things that it didn't teach me that I only learned because I worked for like these different individuals. So I know what you're getting at, but I wanted to preface my part there. And with that, we're going to pause and we're going to come back. And I think I want to do this all in one podcast. I don't want to do a part 2.
Okay.
So we're going to pause. We're going to come back. It's either going to be today and we're going to be in the same shirts, or it'll be first thing in the morning. We'll finish editing this.
And we'll be in different clothes. Who knows?
Who knows? But we'll be back in a moment. And we're back. For you guys, it was a split second. For us, it was a full day. We got busy and we couldn't get back here to finish the podcast. So we're in different shirts. But anywho, I made my 4 case for college. I have my pros and cons, but I'm playing devil's advocate right now. I made my 4 case.
Right now.
I'll let you. I'll let you make your against case for all the listeners, and then I'll pick it apart, and then I'll agree with you. All right, let's go.
Okay, so before honestly I even pitch the case, just so people understand kind of where I'm coming from on a college standpoint of, yes, I did go to college for a year. I originally went, so I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I was doing all kinds of just different things. Like, if I don't want to categorize it because I don't want to offend people the wrong way, because it's not like that stereotype, but I was just one that, like, I cared more about like partying and having a good time and just enjoying myself more than I did about education. So when I come at this in the sense of I stand either which way, I do want to make my point very clear. Going through high school, I could very easily make good grades. I was a smart kid. I recognize that. But I was a big slacker. I did not like school. I'm not a lazy bum.
You're a lazy bum.
I was a lazy bum.
I admitted I was a lazy bum.
I was a lazy bum.
The first step to recovery is admitting what you were wrong at.
Yeah.
You were a lazy bum.
But yeah, going through high school, like, same situation as you pretty much, where like I'd get C's and D's, and then the second half of the 9 weeks rolls around. It's like, all right, well, time to bring them back to A's and B's. But I was just like, I was super heavy in sports, so I just cared more about like the things that brought me the thrill than actually sitting in a classroom. I just hated that. And then once I got into college, it was kind of that same situation. I just really didn't like school. I also was like, growing up, always wanted to do something on my own. I didn't want to like technically work for people. In the situation I'm in currently with you, it's, yeah, I work for you, but it's more of like, I come at it with more of a, not like a CEO standpoint, but I'm trying, like,
you have ownership in projects.
Yeah,
that's the easiest
it's
way
like I have a say-so in things that happen, you know, which working in a normal job isn't the case.
Right.
So, always wanted, like, I had that entrepreneur mindset of like, I want to do something. I ended up starting Vortech and everything. It was doing other things outside of Vortech. Like, I would just flip things, whether it was furniture or just whatever. If I had my best way to put it is my Facebook marketplace, or the Facebook marketplace was like my domain for like a good 2 years, because I would get stuff and then I would flip it and I would sit on it to wait and get the profit that I wanted on it, you know? So I'd buy something for $50 and sell it for $250 and just wait for the right person to come around, because there's always the right person that's going to buy it. But anyways, let's make my case before I just go off on a ramble about random stuff.
Another land.
So, is Dylan for or
Dylan's
against
getting over
college?
COVID, by the way.
I didn't have COVID.
That Delta variant.
COVID what?
No, just a cold. Just kidding. Just a cold.
Yeah. So,
Dylan looked up stats for college.
yeah.
And then we're going to break down how the stats actually make sense. So just dive right into the stats.
So is Dylan for or against college? I lean one way more than the other, 100%. I don't like college. I'm not a fan of college. So to dive into this, why do I have the opinion that I have? And I'm going to point this out right now. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. So you can comment, say whatever you want. I don't care. But like I said, I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying I'm wrong. But these are my opinions, so I am entitled to them. Where do we want to start with this?
Great.
So I'm going to do a couple of things here. So we live in Ocala. We're 30 minutes away from Gainesville. Gainesville
you actually
has...
live in Gainesville yourself,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you... Right.
Yeah, but we're in Ocala. But anyways, UF is the closest university, and Santa Fe College is like the closest community college that is like a legit community college. Right. I'm going to use both of those as examples when it comes to tuition and things like that. And then why are you looking at me?
I've never noticed you like... Most people do their index and their middle finger if they're counting one and two.
I usually do.
But you're like on the... So for those of you just listening and not actually on video, this is side check. When you counted out, you used your pinky and your ring finger, and it caught me off guard. I was like... Okay, anyways, keep going.
Because if I don't do it like this,
yeah.
then I do it like this if I'm making
so you can
points.
tap it.
Yes.
You like to tap.
I like to tap. You can't tap.
Yes,
I mean, you can,
just...
but it feels more natural to go the other way.
It just threw me off.
So anyways, we're going to use UF and Santa Fe as examples, starting out with the side of tuition. Okay. So in-state tuition for UF, this is per year. Mm-hmm. In-state tuition for UF is $6,381. This is average. Okay. Over the course of 4 years, for a bachelor's degree, that's what the average college attendee goes for. For 4 years, it's $25,524. Okay. May not seem like a lot. Are we sure that's
not per? Like,
no, I try to do
term?
like as much research. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Right.
You know.
I just feel like it's a low number.
I tried to do as much research as I could, and even looking at the trade school versus college, like you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but you can see per year, and then the total. So it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So in-state tuition, all in all, comes to about $25,524.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
That's not counting room and board, any of that. That's just the education part.
I think
it's not counting books.
Trust me, that is not counting count books at least.
I'm promising you right now.
Okay. All right.
Unless it's gone down in cost, and I don't believe it has.
I don't.
Remember, I went to a state college as well. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So that's $25,524 for in-state 4-year university.
Yeah.
Out-of-state tuition takes a big jump and goes to $28,659 a year.
Which I never understood why they did that, but they've done that since.
At least that may include the room and board and everything. But
usually, just out-of-state tuition costs more. Never understood why.
Yeah.
And then you add room.
I didn't go to university, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, Mister. I looked up the stats. I'm just playing.
I didn't look in that deep. So out-of-state tuition is that much.
To listen to you.
Out-of-state tuition is that much over the total of 4 years is $114,636. Over $100,000. Okay. If you go to a community college like Santa Fe, the in-state tuition is $2,500 for a 4-year total of $10,252.
Right.
I'm leaving out a couple of numbers on the $2,500.
And most people don't go to a community college to get a bachelor's; they only go for their associates.
Yeah.
So.
And then out of states, $9,189 for a total of $36,756. I'll try to throw these numbers up in the podcast if I have time into the editing process today.
You've got time. We believe in you.
So all in all, that's a heck of a lot of money. Okay, for a community college, for me, I wasn't able to actually get financial aid, but I had my parents did the little college thing as I was growing up, where they invested a little bit here and there. I had enough for a couple of years at Santa Fe, but that was it. And if I wanted to pursue a bachelor's degree in anything, it would have been either I would have been pursuing a bachelor's degree at Santa Fe or transferring to UF to do that. But then that's another 2 years. That's about $12,000 out of my own pocket. Okay.
I'm going to help your case a little bit too. That's on the low side.
Oh yeah, no. I know. But for people that have to pay it out of pocket, it sucks. It sucks. So, we've got those prices. University is $25,000. For in-state, out-of-state's $115,000 almost. In-state for community college is about $10,000, and out-of-state is about close to $37,000.
Right.
For federal and state government aid, that includes financial aid and grants. The average award per student, the average what's given to students is about $13,000, 13.1. And about 84% of students actually receive some form of financial aid. Mm-hmm. If you're one of the 16% of people that don't receive financial aid,
those are just crappy odds.
Yeah, it's crappy odds. I was one of those that didn't actually get financial aid, which kind of really sucked. I don't really understand the reason why. I don't know if I put information in wrong or something. But
you should have been able to get.
For some reason, I just wasn't able to get financial aid.
So it's expensive.
It is very expensive.
Okay.
Very expensive. And for someone, okay, so you've talked a lot about Gary Vee, for instance. Mm-hmm. And I've started listening a lot more to Gary Vee.
That's a trap.
It is.
I haven't listened to him in years because he spits the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But it's good for you to learn from right now.
Right. But I was listening to him, and he made a lot of really good points. Mm-hmm. And just on the side of being an entrepreneur, college debt. Okay, the average for college debt payoff is about 21.1 years. It's a long freaking time. Okay. And if you're an out of state going to a university, you're looking at about $115,000. That's $115,000. And here's the thing. I'm not bashing going to school. Let me just make that very clear. I'm not bashing go get your degree in whatever you want to go get it in. That's fine. But me personally, I'm I could care less. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, college was a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Huge thing. To get anywhere in life, you wanted to have a college degree.
Right.
In today's world, with the way technology is today, you don't need a college degree for everything.
Okay.
If you want to,
I'm gonna put your hands to the fire a little bit to explain yourself a little bit better, because I know what you're trying to say.
You want me to put it across better?
They may not. To everyone else, you're just venting, right? And I don't want to say it for you. So, so this is fun. This is a learning lesson for me too, of how to do this. So, what is college good for? College is good for stuff. What is college good for?
College is good for stuff. College is good for so let's take just a couple of job scenarios.
Who has to go to college no matter what?
A doctor, a lawyer. If you want, this may even put a better picture to it. If you want to go work for a big corporation desk job, run numbers on the 84th floor of a skyrise building.
Bankers.
Bankers, yeah.
Analysts, things like that.
It's that's probably going to require a degree to go work in.
Right.
Which yesterday, it might have been yesterday, you were talking about the people, was it you? Who want to be a number 6 or a good number 6 and make.
It wasn't me.
No, that wasn't you. I was listening to a podcast or something. But there's
a lot of people that talk about this.
Yeah. But it's there's people who will go and sign up for a $60,000 job and hope for the best and hope for gradual increase of income and everything. And a college degree can do that for you.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all. But for someone who is an entrepreneur, number one thing about just the entrepreneur lifestyle, a college degree is not required to start your own business, for one. Mm-hmm. College degree racks up a tremendous amount of debt that can be implemented into whatever business you're trying to start.
Right. I'm gonna round this out for you. I'm gonna well round it out for you. I'm gonna be your debater for you. Because I know what you're getting at, but you're not getting there. And that's
the
cool.
best way possible right now.
So
it's like I think I overloaded myself with lot of information.
You were ready to come out swinging.
Yeah, I was. I just like.
But this is personal to you.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I played devil's advocate. I let you throw out some stats. I'm gonna bring it around for people listening, wondering what the heck we're even talking about right now. So, yes, college is expensive. Mm-hmm. B, we're of a generation, if you're under 35 years old, we were raised, you have to go to college. Why? Because our parents were raised that you have to go to college to make anything of yourself, because our parents all, for the most part, on average, worked in factories, things like that, trades, all that. And there was no money in those worlds back then. The only way to get money outside of living in this stuck life was to go to college, make something of yourself, right? And then move on from there. So that's what there's a lot of kids in our generation that parents grew up thinking that, but not actually being able to do it themselves. And our generation was the first generation that could actually pull it off. Well, what happened? There's a few things that happened. The federal government stepped in and said, we'll be willing to give you loans to go to college. So it's not a bank, right? The federal government, well, it is the bank, but the banks are backed by the federal government. They know that if you don't pay back that loan, you're on the hook for it the rest of your life, and the government will step in and pay it for you, right? Yep. So what has that been allowed to happen? Well, people that our parents used to be able to work their way through school. They could work a summer job, and that entire summer job during that time off would pay for the rest of their schooling for the year. That was the thing. School was that cheap. Well, when the government steps in, it says, we're willing to, throw money at students. Well, that's guaranteed money for a university, right? Mm-hmm. It's guaranteed. There's no risk to the university. Well, the university, a lot of people don't like to think about it. They're a business at the end of the day, first and foremost. They're money in, money out. They like to prop themselves on higher education. There is some universities doing some crazy things. We wouldn't have half the tech or half the science or half the medical research that we have in this country without universities. So I'm not bashing them there, but it is still a business. That's why we focus on the NCAA and all that stuff. It's a money-making thing. So if the university can go, oh, wait a second, I don't have to charge $1,000 a term for school, I can charge $6,000 a term. And you go, well, I don't have $6,000. And the bank goes, or the school goes, well, this bank will lend it to you. No questions asked. Mm-hmm. Then it's a no-brainer for everyone involved, right? Because you think you have to go to school. The school knows that they can charge this much for it. And they know that they can do it because the bank will back you the money without any underwriting, period. And that's the scary thing, and that's what a lot of people are talking about right now. For you to go pull out a loan for anything else in your life, a bank actually scrutinizes you, scrutinizes your finances, all that stuff, right? In college, a bank will go, I'll give you $80,000 to go to this school because hopefully you'll pay it off on the back end, right? But if you don't, the government will do it, right? So college used to be worth it for everyone.
Yeah.
Now the finances have jacked that up. And what a lot of people aren't wanting to talk about, thankfully, the older part of our generation that's now starting to have kids is starting to talk about it, is instead of just going, I need to go to college because it's the only way, what really needs to happen is I need to do a return on investment, look at college and decide, is that investment that I'm going to put into college, whether it's debt with interest or cash flow of your own bank account, or the years that you're going to give up, is it going to have a return on the back end that's worthwhile? Yeah. And that's what most people aren't questioning. So they go to college for underbroad or basket weaving. They go to college for history of ancient Greece or whatever, right? Because they just think any degree will get them somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with anyone studying those fields, so I don't want to go there. What is wrong is people studying those fields and then coming out and demanding a $65,000 job in some business somewhere, right? It doesn't really work. And that's the issue, is all that's falling apart. But our parents, the generation above us, didn't really, it didn't work that way. It did work where you went to school, you funded your way through school, you come out, you get a better paying job than you had in the trades, and voila. Well, the issue is a bachelor's degree has turned into a high school diploma, right? I remember when I was going to high school, 98% of my graduating class was going into college.
Yeah.
Now, I was in like a kind of preppy high school, like a high money high school, still a public high school. The only reason I was there is because there was a military base there and my family was in the military.
Yep.
So that's not like that for every high school, but like it's average where the majority of kids are going to go to college, right? So everyone's coming out with some type of degree somewhere, some way, shape, or form. And they're all competing for the exact same office jobs. Why? Because you have so many people going into college and then coming out with a degree. You're now the normal. You're now the part of the normal. There is no differentiating factor between you and this other person with a business degree besides maybe your GPA, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. So you have all these people coming out with business admin degrees, business marketing degrees, random liberal arts degrees, blah, 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 that aren't specialized in some way, shape, or form, but their only thought was, I was told I have to go to college. If I go to college, that's going to be the success.
Yeah.
With that said, that is all shifting, and it only started shifting over the past 10 years, 5 years, and that's why individuals like you are stuck in this conundrum of like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Right? I see that there's like possibilities of wealth outside of college. My family's screaming at me, go to college. What do I do? Now, if you wanted to stay an engineer, guess what? You're going to college. If you want to go into any medical world, you're going to college. There's no way around it. It's actually super unfortunate in the medical world. Like you'll rack up $200,000 in debt to be a doctor.
Yep. Just
on your doctorate side of things. And then you may come out of it and not even want to do it. Right? So that's like a conundrum that you're in. This podcast is for people who are A, trying to be financially independent, B, trying to be business owners themselves of some sort. I hate, honestly, like, entrepreneur is such a buzzword nowadays. Like, you got a social influencer calling themselves an entrepreneur on, like, TikTok every day, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has some type of advice of something, running some type of gig. Like, there's one thing running a business, there's another thing, like, flipping things on Facebook Marketplace, no offense, right?
Yeah.
But there's like side hustle cash flow and there's actual business,
yeah.
right? So it's so many people want to be entrepreneurs when they probably shouldn't be anyways. They should be a number 4, number 5. You can come in with a lot of project ideas and have a lot of control and have a team and all that without having to take on all the stupidity that a number 1 has to take on.
Yeah.
Right. With that said, we have to frame this of we're talking to those individuals at the moment because that's all that really matters. College is good for you for a few things. Those were framed in individuals right now. If you don't know what you want to do in business of any sort, or if you don't know what you want to do in life, period, go to college. Is that?
Bro,
that's a scorpion or a spider.
that's a spider.
Okay, it's fine.
Keep talking.
So, if you don't know what you want to do, go to college. Why? College is going to be your best networking resource ever that you can find. Oh my God, dude, the thing was like
It was crawling
the size of a piece of paper, like small piece of paper. Like I couldn't even tear a piece of paper off as small as that. Okay.
I don't like spiders.
College is great for networking. You should go there if you don't know what you want to do. You got lucky. You met me at church, right? You found your resources at your church. That's how you were finding different, like not only just me, but other people as well. Mm-hmm. You had a place to network. If you were a high school graduate and you weren't plugged into a church, you weren't plugged into some type of community center, and you weren't going to college, guess what? You'd probably be digging ditches somewhere right now. Yeah. Which there ain't nothing wrong with digging ditches because those guys are making a lot of money. And that's what I'm going to next. If you don't know what you want to do in business and you really don't want to go to college, look into some type of trade. Go into a trade school, tell them I don't know what I want to do, but I'm interested in it. Because why? You can work on HVAC, you can be a plumber, you can be a welder, you can own your own business doing all that, and you'll still make $200,000, $300,000 a year.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So
And the cost for trade school is
a whole
so
lot
much cheaper.
Half the time they pay you to go to it, right? Or you get paid while you're being trained. There's like a bunch of different things. So Dylan thinks you shouldn't go to college, period.
I don't. No. I don't think that
To like business people, to a degree.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I vote you should if you don't know what you're going to do at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have another resource to get to where you're going. I got lucky. I was in a car world, but I wasn't in like a rundown car world. I got slipped into a group of guys that were all in their 30s and 40s already making money. And that's how I weaseled my way through the business world, right? One of the guys who had a Lamborghini Murcielago at the time owned his own business, and I started working for him. And I worked for him for a little bit. And then one of the products that we were dealing with, I was talking to that guy, and then I bounced over but my first little finance job was from church before I even met any of those guys, right? So if you aren't networking, you're going to die no matter what. If you can find a way to network out of college, then maybe college isn't right for you. But if you don't have any network anywhere whatsoever, stop playing the college game. Like, college is lame game. It's not going to get me anywhere. It is going to get you somewhere because it's the only way you're going to find a network.
Yeah.
There's tons of business people in college right now. You can find developers if you're trying to create some type of app. You can find financial guys who can actually walk you through finances. You can find aspiring legal guys and girls. I hate saying, I'm not meaning to just say guys, but you guys get my point. That like, if you know the finances and the tech side of things, but you don't know how to actually create a business, well, guess what? You're going to find the legal guy that can help you out and be your partner. Like, you will find your partners in college.
Yeah.
If you can't find a way to get them somewhere else. And most people listening to this right now can't find a way to get them somewhere else. With that said, I think the point Dylan's trying to get to is don't feel like you have to go to college because everyone's saying that you have to go to college, because that is not true.
That's my exact point.
That's the point you're trying to get to. There are all kinds of different routes that you can get to the same end goal. So like you personally, you aspire to build something of some sort. That was my aspiration too, right? You aspire to build something. It may not be with me. Who knows what it is, but you aspire to build something bigger than yourself, right? Maybe be a little famous. I know your ego's like, I'm just playing. So you're in a position right now where college doesn't make sense for you.
Right.
In this immediate moment. Why? Because you're working with me. I'm opening up to you to other people. Like, sooner or later, you could probably like jump me into like Brian with Searchalytics, if that was like more of your dream, if you wanted to get more on the content side and we were kind of done with content, like you were hitting your max here or hitting your max pay grade here or whatever, right? Or you could jump on, we're networking with other people right now of like how we're going to handle products and stuff like that. You could jump ship to another business, who knows? But right now you are learning more in your position where you're at and you're making money. You're not spending it to learn it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I wasn't here and everything had dried up in like your avenues with like starting Vortech and stuff like that, if you couldn't find the way to connect the dots, guess what? Your best bet would have been to get your butt back in college.
Yeah.
Because what else were you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Not work at Walmart the rest of your life, right?
Right.
Which, not bashing those guys, the managers at those places make like $160,000 a year. It's stupid. If you want to be like, you want to play the stupid politics game for 15 years. But like, and guess what? Those managers have degrees.
Yeah.
So you're able to yell this from the rooftops of your opinion right now because of the position that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For the people listening, if you can't get yourself into a position that Dylan's in, guess what? Get your butt to college. Right? I finished college because I needed a fallback, because I didn't know what my outlook was going to look like. My network was kind of like closing up. I was distancing myself from those guys for a plenty like of different reasons. And I was like, you know what? If I have to be able to go get a job in the corporate world, I'm going to need this degree. And you're going to face that same thing potentially at some point, right? Money dries up, businesses slow down, whatever. We close up, we sell out, whatever. And you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I go work for a company like Pandora, who, I can be some exec there and make a decent amount of money because of my experience here. But guess what? They're probably going to need me to have a finance degree or something like that. Then you'll be facing that again.
Yeah.
But the difference is now you could enter that conversation of do I go to college or do I not go to college, of looking at the ROI. Well, I know I can come out making $150,000 a year because of my experience and this degree, and the degree is only going to cost me $30,000. So guess what? I'm just going to go spend the $30,000 because it's going to net me $150,000 over here, right? Yeah. That's where it makes sense, and that's what a lot of people don't. It all comes back to the ROI. You have to look at college when you're looking at leaving and go, is this something that makes sense for me right now? But you know what? The unfortunate thing is we make 18-year-olds commit to something at 18 years old when you don't know anything. Like, you're not even allowed to legally drink at this point, right? But what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Cool, go commit $80,000 to it right now, of money that you don't have that you're going to owe for the next 20 years to be able to pay it off, right? Because not only are you going to pay for that school, when you come out of school, you still have to pay for life, a house, probably have children, got to get a car, like all that stuff adds up. That's why you find most kids still living with their parents at 27, 28 years old. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we're the only, it feels like we're the only country that kicks our family out as soon as they hit 18, 19.
Yeah.
Like, plenty of other worlds, it's like
multiple
generations that live together.
With each other.
Yeah. Which there's something cool about that in my personal opinion. But I think that's what you're getting at. I wanted to look at it from more and talk about it from more of a broad aspect. When you brought this up, I didn't want to just pigeonhole it into one thing, because it's really easy to pick apart what you were trying to get at.
Yeah.
Right. You have an amazing point, and where you're at right now, it doesn't make sense to give up this to go sit in a classroom.
Right.
It doesn't. Financially for you, it does not make sense because there's no payoff just yet. There would be no payoff, because you'd come out of that and you'd be starting back at square one, trying to find a guy like me that'll give you a chance, where you can actually learn something, not just because the issue also is colleges, most of them, unless you're in the super expensive, we're talking like $80,000 a year type Ivy League type stuff. Most colleges are super behind their education as well, especially when it comes to marketing and how things are done and all that in the business world. We're only talking business world right now. No one bring up any other thing. But in marketing, I remember social media was already a thing, and business ad spend was already a thing on social media. And my marketing classes through my finance program, we're still talking about print marketing. You're way behind. Print and radio, you were way behind at that point, right? So for college, again, it's not what you'll learn. It's who you'll connect with and what you learn from those people that you connect with. It's as good or as bad as you make it. And if you party your whole way through school, then you're going to be in the exact same spot. Sometimes you got to party to network in the business world, though. Just saying. That was a side step. I'm just kidding. I don't ever party anymore. I'm like an old man. Anywho, I think we clarified that a little bit more. I play devil's advocate mostly through both sides. For the people listening that are going to call you out because they don't agree, hopefully I gave a little bit more of a convincing spot.
I'm sure there's people.
It wasn't so emotional. Disagree. It was because I can speak to the fact of I'm honestly using some of my degree to a degree. That was funny. I'm using some of the stuff I've learned, but really what college did, it was two things. It networked me to a degree, but not much. I actually found my network outside of it. There's a few guys that I still talk to from college, but that's about it. And B, it taught me to learn. I learned most of my stuff from asking the right questions to either the right people or it sounds weird to say Google, but I've learned what questions to ask, and that has really helped me find the answers that I need to find in all different aspects of business. And my mom will talk to you about it too. So how did you know to find that information? I was I don't know how to tell you that. I don't know, but I think I do, in the sense of when I was getting my finance degree, it was always asking questions of what does this project do? What are the financials of it? All that stuff. So you're constantly having to learn how to find an answer to all these different questions. And that is the only way you'll succeed in business, is figuring out what questions to ask, and then who to ask to get those questions answered.
Yeah. Yep.
I think we're there. We're running out of time again, so we're getting out of here.
Yeah. It's going to be a long podcast.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely
Thanks for
gonna
hanging
be like an
out.
hour.
I hope we actually rounded it out for anyone listening. Hope we got to some type of point here.
If you've got questions, feel free to ask us in the comment section.
Yeah.
We'll answer them.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys next time.